السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، أفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على أشرف الأنبياء سيد المرسلين نبينا حبيبنا شفيعنا قرة أعيننا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين، أما بعد. أهلا بكم. Welcome to our session on the Maraqi al-Sa'adat of Imam Abu al-Shurumbulali al-Hanafi rahimahullah. We are beginning today the Kitab al-Sawm, the book on the chapter of fasting, and inshallah bi'idhnillahi ta'ala we'll be going through that. And before we do, we will be looking at some fada'il of fasting, and then we'll jump straight into the matan bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. We know that there are immense fada'il of virtues when it comes to fasting. And I want to go through just a couple of those fada'il, those virtues, and, share some of the sort of benefits that arise out of fasting that the ulama have delineated, have picked out. So one of them is that fasting is one of the means or one of the practical ways of breaking of desires, what they call kasratu shahawat. There's a hadith in the Sahih of Imam al-Bukhari rahimahullah from Sayyiduna Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala an, and he said that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam said, Ya ma'ashar al-shabab, man istata'a minkum al-ba'a falyatazawwaj فإنه أغض للبصر وأحصن للفرج ومن لم يستطع فعليه بالصوم فإنه له وجاء. النبي عليه أفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم said that يا معشر الشباب, O gathering of the youth, whoever of you is able to, من استطاع منكم الباءة, whoever amongst you is able to marry, فليتزوج, whoever amongst you is able to do nikah, that's what al-ba'a means, nikah, then let him فليتزوج, let him marry. Why? Because marriage is the one that is marriage is the means by which, one of the most effective means to lower one's gaze. فإنه أغض للبصر وأحصن للفرج. It is the one that is the most effective in lowering the gaze and guarding your chastity. And whoever is not able to, وَمَنْ لَمْ يَسْتَطِعْ, whoever is not able to marry, then let him fast. Why? Because fasting will be al-wija', فَعَلَيْهِ بِالصَّوْمِ, upon him he must fast. فَإِنَّهُ لَهُ وِجَاء, it becomes a restraining mechanism for him. It becomes a restraining mechanism. So what is the opposite that the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam is advising the youth here, the shabab? He's saying that if you're not able to marry, then the opposite is to fast. And al-wija', one of the meanings of al-wija', if you look at it, it means crushing the thighs. Literally, it means to crush the testicles of a horse, or the vascular part of a scrotum. In other words, it's the inner private part of a horse, to crush that, that's where the meaning of al-wija, you see the word al-wija applied to that. So in other words, fasting is a way that crushes one of the pillars of desire, one of the pillars of shahwa. So what's the advice that Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam has given us? If we can't marry, well, then we need to restrain our desires. So as-sawm, fasting, becomes a preventative measure. It stops a person from doing certain types of actions. It stops a person doing certain types of actions. It becomes a kind of controlling mechanism of one's desire. Um, uh, so this is one of the fada'il of fasting. It is one of the most strongest measures to break the desires. So there are many other fada'il of fasting. One of them is that fasting is a junnah, is a shield. And the reason why fasting is a shield, as-siyamu junnah, is because it protects one from the hellfire. Because by restraining your desires, by controlling your body to submit to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to do, even though we're allowed to do those things normally, but when we're in a state of fasting, we're not allowed to, it protects us from the hellfire. And it's interesting actually, because the same phraseology, as-siyamu junnah, is also comes in a hadith where it says, innama al-imamu junnah. For the Muslims, the imam, the khalifa, the sultan, is a junnah, is a protective shield. يقاتل من ورائه ويرتقي به. That they fight behind this imam and they are protected by him. So similarly, as-siyamu junnah, al-imamu junnah. So fasting is a shield, protects us from hellfire, and the imam is a protection for the Muslim ummah, because through him the sharia is implemented, the borders are protected, the kalima of Allah Azza wa Jal is raised high, the enemies of Allah are subdued, the madhlumeen, the mustada'afeen, the weak, the oppressed, they are protected and given shade. So there are many other fada'il of fasting, but I just wanted to just share a couple of those with you. And with that, inshallah, we'll begin the chapter on Sawm, al-Siyam, from Maraqi al-Sa'ada. Imam al-Shurumbulali, rahimahullah, he says the following, and we will do what we've always done. We'll read the text and then we will go through the rough translation and meaning of it, bi'ithnillahi ta'ala. Kitab al-Sawm, book of fasting. قال الإمام الشرمبلالي نفعنا الله به: هو الإمساك عن الأكل والشرب والجماع نهارا بنية من أهله. وأقسامه 6: فرض، واجب، مسنون، مندوب، ونفل، ومكروه تحريما وتنزيها. The technical definition of fasting is restraining. هو الإمساك. Restraining from what? Stopping oneself from what? عن الأكل والشرب والجماع نهارا. It is to withhold and stop oneself from eating or drinking or being involved in any physical intercourse naharan, during the day, based on an intention. So naharan, daylight hours, so namely from nahar being al-fajr al-sadiq, the true dawn, until when the sun goes down, al-maghrib time, the sunset. So naharan, during daylight hours, biniyatin, with an intention to fast, performed by one who is able to do so. The one who is able to do so. So whoever is valid, whoever is able to fast, i.e., fasting validly applies to him, then that person must fast. So that must be a Muslim who is a person who is a Muslim, a rational, and if it's a woman, a sane Muslimah who's pure and free from menstrual cycle or any kind of post-birth bleeding and things like that. So then he says, وَأَقْسَامُهُ سِتَّةٌ. There are six types of um, categories of fasting, even though technically here it's seven, if we count makruh, twice, two types. So he says, fardun, one type of fast is which is obligatory. وواجب, mandatory fast. ومسنون, the sunnah fast. The mandubun, the recommended category of fast. وَنَفْلٌ, the voluntary fast. وَمَكْرُوهٌ, the disliked category of fast. And then that disliked category can either be tahriman, prohibitively disliked, or tanzihan, non-prohibitively disliked, i.e. Sort of mildly disliked. فالفرض, the obligatory fast. فالفرض رمضان أداء وقضاء والكفارات والمنذور في الأظهر والواجب قضاء ما أفسده من نفل والمسنون صوم عاشوراء المبارك مع التاسع والمندوب صوم ثلاثة من كل شهر والاثنين والخميس وست من شوال مفرقة والنفل ما لم تثبت كراهته والمكروه تحريما صوم العيدين وأيام التشريق والمكروه تنزيها كإفراد يوم السبت ونيروز ومهرجان إن لم يوافق عاداته وصوم الوسال وكره صوم الدهر. The fard, the obligatory fast, category of fast, what falls into that? Fast like Ramadan. And then qada'an, fasts that are to be made up, qada fasts. Wal-kafarat, fasts that are because of the act of expiation, kafara, one has to do it out of some kind of atonement. Wal-manzur fil adhar, and vowed fasts, and that is the more sort of stronger and apparent position in the Hanafi school. Some say the manzur and the kafara fast are actually wajib, sorry, not fard. Anyway, they both have to be done anyway, regardless. So Ramadan ada'an, during Ramadan, during the month, fasting during the month of Ramadan, qada fast, kafarat, vows, fasts that are related to vows, and those are considered to be the category of fard. Wal wajibu, قضاء ما أفسده من نفل. The mandatory type of fast, the wajib type of fast, is when one is a fast that one has to make up because one broke one's voluntary fast. So if you're doing a voluntary fast and you broke it deliberately, then you need to make that fast up. That's wajib. It must be made up. The sunnah type of fast is fasting on Sawm wa Ashura al-Mubarak ma'a tasi'. So on the blessed day of Ashura, the 10th of Muharram, that is, one fast, but with the 9th, along with the 9th. So one can fast the 9th, or one can fast the 11th, actually, the day after Yawm Ashura. So you can do it on the 11th. And if one just fasts on the 10th, then this is makruh to just fast on the 10th alone. Why? Because this resembles the way the Jews used to fast only on Ashura day. So sunnah is to join together 2 days, either a day before the 9th and the 10th, or with the day after, 10th and 11th. والمندوب, the recommended fasting is صوم ثلاثة من كل شهر, fasting the 3 days of every month, the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th. These are highly recommended. والإثنين, fasting on Mondays. والخميس, Thursdays. وست من شوال مفرقة, and fasting the 6 days of Shawwal, مفرقة, spread out over the month. But fasting the 6 days of Shawwal together consecutively is still acceptable. Yeah. So after Eid al-Fitr, you fast 6 days of Shawwal, that's fine. But doing it mufarraqa, doing it, spread out, this is mandub, is recommended. وَالنَّفْلُ مَا لَمْ تَثْبُتْ كَرَاهَتُهُ. When you do any voluntary fast, any day of fasting, a voluntary fast counts as any day as long as it's not a day which is not allowed to fast on, it's disliked. And he's going to mention them now under makruh. So the types of nafal fast are any fast that doesn't fall under a disliked category. For example, المكروه تحريما صوم العيدين وأيام التشريق. It is prohibitively disliked, meaning it's not allowed to fast on any of the 2 days of Eid, or on the 11th, 12th, and 13th day of Dhul Hijjah. That's the Ayyam al-Tashriq. So those 3 days of Dhul Hijjah and the 2 days of Eid, they're not allowed. So Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha, one cannot fast on those days. And the makruh tanzihan, the dislike category of fasting, is to single out. كإفراد يوم السبت, is to single out Saturday without fasting, for example, on Friday, or without fasting on a Sunday. So if you just single out Saturday and fast, that's makruh tanzih. One ought not to do that. One ought not to fast on days that, like, celebrations fall on that day, like Nayruz or Maharajan, these Persian, spring and autumn holidays, respectively. So if one shouldn't fast just on those days alone, if they're, but if he says, if you don't habitually fast on the days that these 2 days fall on, then it's better not to. However, if you are habituated to fasting on certain days, and it just happened to be that Nayruz or Maharajan or any religious festival falls on that day, then you can still fast on that day. Because he says, "In lam yuwafiq adatahu." Yeah. So if you happen to, I don't know, fast every Monday, Thursday, or you happen to fast on certain days, every other day, or whatever it is, and then one of these religious festivals falls on the days that you normally fast, that's fine. Then he says it's makruh tanzihan to do wasawmul wisal. Sawmul wisal is to fast 2 or more days in a row without eating in between. So someone fasts 2 consecutive days in a row, so 48 hours of fasting. وَكَرِهَ صَوْمُ الدَّهْرِ. It is disliked to fast for the entire year, even though, each day you fast, you do break that fast, i.e. you eat in between. So fasting the whole year without breaks, one should not do that. So you got the different categories here. Even though he's mentioned 6, there's technically 7, isn't it? Because we've got makruh twice. Then here, rahimahullah, he says, فصل, section, يشترط تبييت النية وتعيينها في قضاء رمضان وقضاء ما أفسده من نفل وصوم الكفارات والمنذور المطلق. لا يشترط التبييت ولا تعيين في أداء رمضان والمنذور المعين زمانه والنفل، فيصح بنية من الليل إلى الضحوة الكبرى. He, rahimahullah, he says, يشترط تبييت النية وتعيينها في قضاء رمضان وقضاء ما أفسده من نفل. The tabyit, making an intention the night before one fasts, and to specify one's intention is a condition. All types of fasts require, a tabyit and a ta'yin. It requires a intention the night before one fast and a specification of one's intention, i.e. that one says, I aim to fast tomorrow, and things like that. So we need to specify and intend what type of fast we're going to undertake. So what fasts require these intentions? Qada'i Ramadan. If we miss a fast of the month of Ramadan, for whatever reason, we need to make an intention the night before that we're going to fast that, we're going to complete that missed fast, and we're going to specify an intention to fast for that specific missed fast of Ramadan. وَقَضَاءِ مَا أَفْسَدَهُ مِن نَفْلٍ. Any makeup from voluntary fast that one broke, one invalidated. So if you are doing a nafil fast, a voluntary fast, and then you deliberately broke it, you need to make that up. And to make that up, you need to make an intention the night before and specify an intention to make up the fast. وصوم كفارات, fast of any type of expiation, any atoning fasts, kafarat, they also need to have an intention and a specification. Any mandhur al-mutlaq, any general unspecified vow, one needs to any general vow one has made to fast without specifying a specific day, these need to be specified and intended. فيصح بنية من الليل إلى ضحوة الكبرى. When does the intention, like what's the duration of the intention? When does it stand? Well, the niyyah is valid from the night before the Fajr, that's the following morning. So the night before, إلى ضحوة الكبرى, until the dahwat al-kubra. The dahwat al-kubra, the bright sort of daytime, is often calculated by the time between Fajr coming in and that of Maghrib. So between Fajr and Maghrib, and then you divide it by half. That should be the dahwat al-kubra. So if the entry time of Fajr is about, I don't know, let's say 6 o'clock, and Maghrib is 4 o'clock, then between 6 and 4, those 10 hours, you divide it, and then you know that's 5 hours. So 5 hours from Fajr, that will be Dahwat al-Kubra. So if you perform your intention and you specify your intention before the Dahwat al-Kubra, then your make-up fast for Ramadan, your make-up fast for your voluntary fast, your kafara fast, all of these um, these will be valid. And then he says, ولا يشترط التبييت ولا تعيين في أداء رمضان والمنذور المعين زمانه والنفل فيصح بنية من الليل إلى ضحوة الكبرى. So for the four that we mentioned, qada fast, the voluntary fast, the fast of expiation, kafara, the unspecified vow, the nadhar mutlaq, these have to be intended after Maghrib and then before Fajr, the night before the Maghrib, that is the night before Fajr. So once Maghrib has passed, that's called tabyit, right? You've entered the night time. So you got to make your intention at that time. And then you got to specify what kind of fast you are doing. For the three I just read now, the Ramadan fast during the month of Ramadan, the specific vows or the manzur al-mu'ayyan, so if you vow to do a fast and you are very specific about it, this is what we mean by al-manzur al-mu'ayyan. And the third one is a nafal. If you are doing these three types of fast, then you can make your intention anytime before anytime the day before. You don't have to wait till Maghrib. You don't have to wait till Maghrib. You've got that time. فيصح بنية من الليل إلى الضحوة الكبرى. So you've got any time from the night, when night kicks in, to the ضحوة الكبرى time to make your intention. من الليل إلى الضحوة الكبرى. And then it says here, so from the night to the ضحوة الكبرى, you can make your intention. But here you don't have to make any specification. لا يشترط التبييت ولا تعيين في أداء رمضان والمنذور المعين زمانه والنفل. So if you have a specific vow fast, you don't have to specify, because you've already specified your fast in your vow. And every fast in the month of Ramadan doesn't need a specific intention. Doesn't need a specific intention. And then he says, rahimahullah, يثبت رمضان برؤية هلال أو بعد شعبان 30 ولا يصام يوم الشك إلا تطوعا، وإذا كان بالسماع علة قبل لرؤية الهلال رمضان خبر عدل ولو قن أو امرأة. شهادة الفطر بشهادة حرين أو حر أو حرتين، وإذا لم يكن بالسماع علة فلا بد من جمع عظيم لهما، والأضحى كالفطر وسائل أهلة. He says regarding the hilal, the crescent moon, يثبت رمضان برؤية هلاله. The beginning or the commencement of Ramadan is established برؤية هلاله, upon sighting the crescent moon. It must be at night. Yeah, it must be at night, because daytime sightings have no consideration. أو بعد شعبان 30, or by Sha'ban being completed by 30 days. Being completed by 30 days. ولا يصام يوم الشك إلا تطوعا. One may not fast on the day of doubt, the يوم الشك. This is the day after the 29th of Sha'ban. So is it the 30th day or not? If we're not sure, then لا يصام صوم الشك إلا تطوعا. One may not fast on the day of doubt, Yom Shak, unless one takes it as a voluntary fast. So when you fast on that day, you have to fast it as a voluntary fast. You can't fast it, you can't do that fast on the day of doubt, because we're not sure if it's the first day of Shawwal, on the first day of Ramadan, or whether it's the first or the 30th day of Sha'ban. But if you're firm in fasting, doing that day as a fast, tatawwu'an, as a voluntary fast, then that's fine. But you can't fast it with the intention of it being a day of Ramadan. وإذا كان بالسماء علة قبل لرؤية هلال رمضان خبر عدل. If there is some kind of obstruction in the sky, whatever, it might be cloudy, it might be foggy, whatever it is, then the sighting of one upright individual is sufficient. It'll be accepted. Even if it's a slave woman or a slave, even if it's a slave woman or a slave man. وشهادة الفطر بشهادة حرين أو حر وحرتين. But the completion of Ramadan وشهادة الفطر, the witnessing of the completion of Ramadan, it must be done with at least 2 free male witnesses, or 1 male and 2 female witnesses. حرين, 2 males, or حر, 1 male, وحرتين, 2 females. وإذا لم يكن بالسماء علة فلا بد من جمع عظيم لهما والأضحى كالفطر وسائر الأهلة. If there is no illah in the sky, وإذا لم يكن بالسماء علة, if there's no obstruction in the sky, then there must be a large body of people that can sight the new moon. This applies to any month, commencing it and closing it. من جمع عظيم لهما, there must be a great number of people to sight it. Yeah. And then he says, والأضحى كالفطر وسائر الأهلة. All this way of moon sighting applies to the Eid al-Adha, the month of Dhul Hijjah, as well as any month of the year. It takes the same ruling, i.e. the requirement of 2 free male witnesses, or 1 male and 2 females. And if there's no obstruction in the sky and there's a large body of people, so this applies to all months, yeah, determining the new moon for every month. So that completes our section on the Hilal. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala, next week we will look at the mufsidat as-sawm, the things that invalidate the fast, things that don't, things that are disliked, and things, elements that are not proper to do during the fast. So inshallah ta'ala, we will pick it up then, unless there's any questions. We can continue it next week bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. Okay, well, until our next lesson, thank you for joining us. We will see you in the next halaqah bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.